Hello, in this presentation we're going to enter a purchase order and add a new inventory item at the same time into QuickBooks Online. We will have a comprehensive QuickBooks Online course soon, if not available yet. We also have a comprehensive Excel course which complements the QuickBooks courses and a QuickBooks Pro desktop version course you can find at the link below. We will be continuing with the Get Great Guitars problem. If you've been following along with us, that's great. If not, that's okay. We're going to be entering a new purchase order with an added inventory item that we will have to add as we go. We're going to go a little bit faster. We've seen the purchase order before with no new inventory item, so we'll go a bit faster. If you want more detail, take a look at that prior presentation. To enter the purchase order, we're going to go up top. We're going to select this item, this little plus item, and this is where most of our transactions will be located. So we have the customers, we have the vendors. We're going to be here under vendors because we're going to be purchasing from a vendor, vendor meaning who we purchase from. And we're going to scroll down and we want, of course, the purchase order. So we will select the purchase order. It's important to note what the purchase order is. We're not actually purchasing the inventory or paying for the inventory. There's no actual financial transaction going on here and it's different than if we were to purchase something from like Amazon, where we would make the payment and then receive the inventory or what we bought later in the mail. Here, we're not making a payment. We're going to make the payment when we receive the inventory. We're just requesting the inventory. No financial transaction really happening. Just going to be a paper request. So in order to do that, we're going to go through here. I do recommend tabbing through these fields as we go so that we touch on every field, and that'll just be good practice for going through any type of data input. So we're going to start up at the top. We're going to choose the vendor. This is going to be a new vendor, so when we select the drop down, it's going to be Gibson. We don't have a Gibson yet, so we're going to add the vendor. I'm going to do that by first just typing in Gibson. And I'm going to select tab, or if we can just select the plus here, select plus, and it's going to guess that we want to add Gibson as a vendor, and that is of course correct. So we're going to say add and save. Then we'll go ahead and tab through. There's no email, Gibson. We're not going to put a mailing address yet, so we're just going to keep the name, although we might want a mail address. Ship to, we're going to keep that the same. Date, we're going to change the date to, it will be as, we're going to say 01/12/21, January 12th, 2021. Note, this is going to give us the current date, but we want to be working on the future in our problem here, so we will change the date. 01/12/21, January 12th, 2021. We'll keep tabbing through here. So we've got the product or the service item as the next item we're going to have. These are going to be inventory items. And what we're going to do is request these inventory items. They've already been input into the item list for the most part. However, we're now going to be entering an item that has not been input into our item list, and we'll be inputting it or creating it as we create the purchase order. To do that, we'll select the product or service. And once again, if we select the drop down, these are all the guitars that we've purchased before, and we have a purchase order or item set up for them. This one we're going to say it's abbreviated as a GSB, so we're going to call it a GSB, not included yet, and therefore we will add it. So I'm going to add this information. It's going to be an inventory type item, so we're going to say it's going to be inventory, meaning it's going to have both a sales price and a cost. It's not a service item that we will be inputting. We're going to keep the short name here. We could put the full name, and it's going to be actually the Gibson SG will be the full name. I'm going to keep the GSB here because that's going to go under the product item. We're going to scroll down. I'm going to tab through these items. Category, no category. Initial quantity, we don't have any because we're just purchasing it. As of date, report point. We're going to keep scrolling down. I'm tabbing through these items. Inventory asset account, it's going to be an inventory asset account, so that's because we're purchasing inventory, so that's correct. Sales description, this is where I'm going to put the full name. And that is going to be a Gibson SG. So we're going to have the Gibson SG there. And then we're going to have the sales price. This is what we're going to sell it for, not what we're going to put here in the purchase order. The sales price, not the purchase price. That's going to be 777.40 cents. The income account, now it might default to something other than, it might say sales of product. We're going to just call it sales. That's going to be our sales of product. So I'm going to select the sales account. then tab through this, and then the description once again, Gibson SG, and that's the purchasing information. And then finally the cost, this is what we're going to buy it for. This is what's actually going to go on this form, and that's going to be the 598. That's what we're going to be purchasing for, and that will go to the cost of goods sold, meaning when we sell it, we're going to credit or increase the sales amount of, and that's our revenue or income account, by the 777.40 cents. Then we're going to increase the cost of goods sold, which is an expense, of the 598. The difference between these two, of course, being the profit when we sell this particular Gibson SG guitar. So we're going to save and close that. Actually, these are required fields up here, so I'm going to put initial quantity on hand 0 as of date. It's going to be the beginning of this year, 01/01/21, and then we're going to say save and close. And then we populate this item. So here's our new item. It's a GSB Gibson SG. We're going to get one of those, and the rate's going to be $598. That's of course the purchase price, not the sales price that we had included. Sales price will be included when we make the related invoice to this sale. And we're going to again add a customer here. Now, once again, this isn't going to be something we're going to use all the time for every purchase order. We might just be buying this guitar to have in the shop to sell to whoever wants to purchase it. But in this case, we're going to add the purchase order saying that we're purchasing it for a particular customer who came in and said, I want this particular guitar, could you buy it? Want this color or these dimensions for it? And then we're going to buy it. And then we'll be able to link this purchase order to a particular customer, that customer being Music Stuff Store. So we're going to call it Music Stuff Store, add the customer, and so that's going to be our customer there. So here is our information. We're going to save this note, however, that although we have information down here, this is really unusual for forms in that we don't have an actual financial transaction. No financial statement account, no balance sheet account, no income statement account being affected by this 598. Just a request that will then help us to prepare this information. When we receive the inventory, we can then match out what we got and see if it matches what we have here, and then use this information to help populate and record that inventory as well as the next invoice or sales receipt once we sell this or finish the sale to our client customer, in this case Music Store Stuff. So we're going to go ahead and print this information. If we had the email address up top, we could email this, save an email directly from here. We are going to print it as a PDF file so we can email it there and or send it out. So we'll go ahead and print this, and I am going to then download this information, and it's going to the place I want it to go to, so I'm just going to keep it there, and we're going to put the date. It's going to be 01/21, and note I already have one there, so I probably should put something else. Music Stuff Store, and that's the PO. Okay, and we'll save that, and there is our purchase order.